Hey everybody, Brian McCumber here with Tech Money Talks. I am super excited because today we have the most awesome YouTube personality representing Oberlo. We are fortunate to have Jessica Guzik as a special guest on the show. And for those of you in dropshipping, you should first know what Oberlo is and you should know who Jessica is. And if you don't, then you're in for a real treat because Oberlo, which is now owned by Shopify, is the gold standard for apps that professional dropshippers use. If you're interested in starting an online business to make extra money, you better save this episode in your back pocket and listen to it over and over again because the stories and the tips you're going to learn here will give you the opportunity to launch your own business to help your wallet grow fast. Jessica has done an amazing job representing Oberlo and supporting the dropshipping community. Over the past year, before my eyes, Jessica has been crushing it, dropping juicy tidbits and strategies for dropshippers to sink their teeth into. Jessica is a real deal, highlighting successful professional dropshippers and becoming an internet celebrity representing Oberlo. She's accomplishing so much and her time is valuable. So I'm so happy to have her on the show today. Jessica, thanks for joining us. This is exciting. How's it going?
Oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm so excited to be on Tech Money Talks. I've been listening to your episodes and I just feel like no one else is talking to dropshippers the way you do. And it's an honor to be here.
This is great. Awesome. How did I do on the intro? Was that okay?
That was a fantastic intro. Yeah, I'm blushing over here.
Oh, God. That's great stuff. Yeah, I'm so excited about this. This is really awesome stuff. So I'd say to kick it off for the audience, I was wondering if you could help explain what Oberlo is and how it helps people with their e-commerce business.
Definitely. So Oberlo is a platform that makes it really easy for entrepreneurs to find products to sell, add those products to their online stores, and then ship those products as sales come in. So essentially what this helps e-commerce entrepreneurs do is run businesses inventory free. And this, of course, is known as dropshipping for those of your listeners who are new to the podcast.
Yeah.
And the appeal of dropshipping is that entrepreneurs need a lot less capital to start their business. So it really takes something that was traditionally so risky about starting a business, and it removes that part of the risk out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, I heard you say Oberlo. We say Oberlo. And a funny anecdote here is that it doesn't matter. We tried. We're a very international team. There's 25 nationalities actually working on the Oberlo team. And with so many different people speaking a really international mix of English and accents, we're just kind of like open to anything. So as long as you're saying Oberlo, we don't care how you say it.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions too, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I was like, am I pronouncing it right? Because I've heard it pronounced, both ways. So the appropriate way is to say Oberlo.
That's how I say it, but honestly, the founders say Oberlo, so it's really it's
Okay.
totally mixed. It's totally mixed. As long as you don't say Oberlo, because I think that's like the number one mistaken search term that we get for Oberlo. So it's not Oberlo.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, I did have that question in the back of my mind. It's like, am I pronouncing it right? And then people say it in different ways. But so cool. Yeah, this is awesome. Well, I mean, the great thing about it, Oberlo is Oberlo is one of the most installed apps on Shopify, and it speaks volumes to how great Oberlo is. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, Oberlo is definitely up there, especially for any entrepreneur who logs into Shopify and decides to start dropshipping. And I think one of the big reasons for that is that the founders started Oberlo in 2015. So quite a while back when dropshipping was still in its infancy. I love Scott Hilsey on your podcast said Oberlo's the OG dropshipping platform. And I thought that was I'm just going to steal his term.
Yeah.
Because it's true. And with Oberlo, we've had our merchants through Oberlo have sold over 85 million products around the world. So we're just we're super honored that dropshippers trust us and are getting enough value out of us that we can power such successful businesses.
Yeah. And I remember catching a glimpse of kind of the backstory of how it was founded and, basically out of need, right? So necessity and the features that Oberlo does and the value that it gives to dropshippers is huge. And I was wondering, maybe can you explain, like, given some of the brief, how does Oberlo, work, and bring that value to dropshippers?
Yeah, well, I can maybe talk a little bit about the story of Oberlo and
Yeah.
how it came to be. So we've got two original co-founders, Thomas and Andreas, and Thomas and Andreas are both from Lithuania. So they started drop shipping themselves in 2014, so a year before Oberlo itself was founded.
Wow.
Um, and while they were running their store, you can imagine this was 5 years ago, how little resources were out there for someone who was trying to start dropshipping.
Uh-huh.
And they just found themselves constantly running up against challenges and needing to develop their own tools and processes to get through those dropshipping challenges. So,
Uh-huh.
in the process of building their store became successful enough that their supplier in China wanted to buy it from them. So, they sold their store
Wow.
to their suppliers in China. And then they decided, we built all these tools to help us build our store. Maybe there's some use for them. So that's how they started to build out Shopify apps. And they were at this point working with a team of other people in Lithuania. And then one of those apps was Oberlo. And now Oberlo, like I said, has offices in 3 different countries, and tons of people from all over the world are working on it to make it successful. So, and that's incredible when I think about the fact that Oberlo was just started 4 years ago, and here I am now talking to you. So mind blowing.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's such a great story, and delivering real value. And hopefully, I get the question a lot actually from new drop shippers that are entering the playing field and learning about drop shipping. And then, the next question is, the first one's probably, how do I get started? And the second one is like, what is a Berlo? Always explaining and giving things, and just how much value it delivers to the drop shipper to help you, make your business a little bit more efficient, right? So related to the fulfillment of the products, and it even helps with finding great products and things like that. So it's just been really awesome. So great story behind that for sure. One of the things that I want to talk about is another thing that's been really great is the quality of the YouTube videos that you've been producing for Oberlo. The tips and the things that you're doing there on YouTube has just been awesome. So I was wondering if you can kind of share your story about that, how you got YouTube off the ground.
Definitely. And I have to say, I can't take credit for it, even though I'm the face in a lot of the videos. We work with an amazing team here to put those videos together and make sure they get seen.
Awesome.
But you were kind of just talking about this, how when you're starting an e-commerce business, there are so many small steps and then so many huge challenges. And no one's teaching, actually, maybe someone is teaching e-commerce 101 in universities these days, but
Hopefully.
not nearly enough people are teaching it. And so we really started the YouTube channel as a way to help people build their businesses and try to answer these questions one at a time. And we already had a lot of these answers on our blog. And so at first we just thought, okay, let's take our blog posts that are helpful and just turn them into YouTube videos. But as we've gotten to know our audience on YouTube a little bit more, we've started to feel more confident kind of discerning what they need help with in particular, or what kind of advice they want.
Yeah.
And so we're creating our own content, and we're going to our data team here in Oberlo and like asking them for data and numbers, and kind of trying to weasel out as much as we can to share to our audience so that they can use that data and be successful.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of stuff is very helpful, and you guys are doing a great job of that for sure. And I think that's why the number of subscribers you have and is continuing to grow, and the quality of it. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. It's been awesome. Keep it up for sure. Yeah.
But I want to say you've been really kind in your words. However, we are super hungry for feedback, both Oberlo as a product and what we're doing on the YouTube channel. So for your viewers, if any of your viewers are listening and thinking like, yeah, but they never really talk about XYZ,
Mm,
please leave us a comment, because that's exactly where we get our ideas for the next videos. So we're
totally.
excited that we always have room to improve.
Yeah, yeah. No, thanks for calling that out for sure. The big point of it is like growing with the trends, and there's always going to be trends, and especially the stuff you guys have been doing, like you said, working with the data team and giving some insights that you're able to give out is important, and I think that's something that's ongoing. But feedback from the professional drop shippers, and even new drop shippers that are entering, is very important. So yeah, I second that as well. That feedback is key. So I'd say, what's the best way to kind of give feedback to you guys?
Well, I'm biased because I'm part of the social media and video team. So I would say drop comments on YouTube or Instagram, especially. We're just producing lots of original content on those channels. And we're looking at the comments and responding every single day.
Awesome. So
So
dropping a
yeah,
comment
so
would be, easy enough, and somebody's keeping an eye out for that. So yeah, yeah.
yep.
Doesn't get any easier than that for sure. And even drop a like, right?
Hey, while you're
That's
at
cool.
it, I
Yeah,
mean,
well, great stuff. So, I mean, the other thing that I wanted to talk about related to your YouTube journey is like a lot of the great guests that you have on show. So it's like, do you have any stories that you like to share with some of the guests you have on the show?
oh my gosh, so many. Like the guests are what make the show special. The Oberlo merchants who have used the platform and found success and are sharing their story and sometimes sharing their actual ads that they use and the actual products that they sell. They're just
Wow.
so generous. Like there are a lot of these entrepreneurs overlap with the kinds of entrepreneurs that you have on your show. You know, people who are just so ready to give back
Yeah.
and help people who are just getting started. So I have a couple of stories actually that people who watch, even if they watch our YouTube channel, they might not know this about some of our guests.
What's that?
Well, one of them, so Scott Hilsey, I know he was on your podcast,
Oh yeah, totally.
and he is like, we should all hope to work for Scott Hilsey someday, and at the rate he's going, we probably will.
Yeah.
But one of the things I love about him is like his sense of initiative combined with he's got this like really grounded humility, even though he makes all these like YouTube videos and he's got his Supreme jackets. Like
Uh-huh.
I've met the guy, like he's the real deal. He's down to earth actually.
Yeah.
And like he came to Germany and he was like, "Hey, I'm just going to be in Germany where that's where I'm based. I'm here in Berlin with Oberlo's office here."
Yeah.
He was like, "Can I stop by and say hi?" And at the time we hadn't thought through how to do these merchant interviews, but we figured, well, he's going to be in Germany anyway. Like he says he's willing to meet up. Maybe we can ask if he wants to get in front of the camera.
That's
He
cool.
never asked for any of that, but because he just like he went out of his way to be helpful, to
Yeah.
say like, "Can I come by? Can I do anything to you guys?" And we said, "Yeah, can you help us put this video together?"
That's
And he just
awesome.
nailed it.
Yeah.
And he got so much visibility from that video, and it's totally deserved. Like,
Yeah.
and not, he never waited for someone to reach out and say, "Why don't you come here?" He made his own success that way. I just think that's so
Oh,
cool.
totally. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's based out of St. Louis and I'm based out of Chicago, and so we're fairly close to each other. So, I mean, I think I caught him after he did that video with you guys. That's when I stumbled upon him and started following. And I think since that video, watching his journey, which led to the reason to invite him to be on the show. And then the cool thing about it is he's been so transparent, on YouTube, so other people could get a glimpse of what's happening. Yeah, like I said, he reminds me of like a Russell Brunson, the way Russell Brunson was way back in the day. Now, where Russell is with ClickFunnels and things like that is just like that's an awesome success story as well. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a really awesome story.
But I think the other thing that's really exciting about the merchants that we have, and the merchants also that we're going to be interviewing and releasing their interviews in the next couple months, is that like Scott is he's outspoken, he's successful, he's got his YouTube channel, and I love his YouTube channel. And there's other entrepreneurs who are doing a great job at both drop shipping and personal branding.
Uh-huh.
One thing we also want to do is surface stories of successful drop shippers who maybe aren't working on personal branding. Like they're just
Mm,
totally focused on the drop shipping
yeah,
just because they have so much to share as well. But sometimes it's just harder to find them because they're not putting themselves out there
true.
on a social media front as much. And I think that your listeners would be kind of excited to hear those stories because they're really relatable. Like they're really truly guys and girls next door, except they run multi-million-dollar dropshipping businesses. So,
And those are the
so
best
yeah,
stories too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So way more interviews with those types as well as some other like guys that you've definitely seen on YouTube. So a good mix of merchant interviews coming up.
Oh man, that's really awesome. Definitely something to look forward to because this is great for sure. Oh man. So looking at that, I mean, you guys have also been delivering, a lot of great tips, and I know that we've been tossing around ideas. Like, there's anything you can throw out there as like a Tech Money Talks exclusive that we could release on the show today. I was wondering if you had any juicy tips to share.
In fact, I do.
Oh.
Yeah, after you invited me on the podcast, I thought like, listen, I hope everyone does follow us on YouTube, but if they do, I don't want to give them the same advice that I can give on YouTube. So I asked Thomas, our co-founder, I was like, hey, just for this podcast, like, what can we get away with sharing publicly?
Uh-huh.
And
That's awesome.
so I was able to like tease out of him some interesting tidbits. So
Wow, I'm looking forward to
um,
this. I'm getting excited.
yeah, I hope it is helpful.
Yeah,
So this is all well, it was internal Oberlo data. Now it's available to Tech Money Talks listeners, but um,
awesome.
yeah, we don't write about this or anything. So the first stat that's really interesting, when we look at merchant sales, half of merchant sales come from outside the United States. This I don't really know whether it would surprise your viewers or not. I think it surprised me because if you're in the dropshipping world, you know what a huge market the US is.
Yeah.
And okay, so it accounts for half of merchant sales. That is a lot. So on the one hand, it proves that, but I think what we're really excited about is the success that our merchants are have selling to international markets.
Yeah.
Um, and we've talked before about like
And
the big four. Oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I was gonna, yeah, to add to that because I know so many other professional drop shippers talk about the countries, and I think, say if most people that are starting drop shipping and they're thinking I need to just sell to the US, but knowing that there's a list of other countries that's a big market. So all of a sudden that expands to the hundreds of millions of people around the world that you have the opportunity to sell products to, and it's just awesome. So yeah, so I'm glad that you brought that up because I think most people initially don't think about that.
Yeah, and another thing that we always get new merchants asking us, like, "Hey, I'm in France. Can I sell to Ireland?" There's just because dropshipping is so mind blowing. But if your product is coming from China to wherever your customer is, it really doesn't matter where you live. So the
Yeah,
answer is absolutely yes. If you're in France, you can sell to customers in Ireland. You can sell to customers in Canada. If you're in, Botswana, if you have an internet connection, you can sell to customers in Australia. Like
yeah,
the possibilities are endless,
yeah,
and it's really up for the merchants to test and see. Maybe the US is their strongest market for their product, but our data just suggests that there's a lot of sales waiting to be made outside the US. And so I'm really curious to see how that particular statistic changes in the next, say, year or two.
yeah, to see how it evolves. Totally. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I think it kind of proves a point that you should be thinking it's a global business, and to be able to launch as a small business owner and to do that, and now you're able to sell pretty much, to the world. It's just an amazing thing. I think we're in an amazing time to be able to have the opportunity to do that, and Oberlo being the tool that makes it so much easier to do that, which is just so awesome.
I was just going to say we're about to make it easier, but I'll kind of save that announcement until a little bit later in the
Oh,
podcast.
nice.
Um, teasing it,
Yeah,
teasing
yeah,
it a
this is
bit. Yeah,
exciting. Awesome. So
yeah.
great tip there. Anything else that you had in mind to share?
Yes, I have
While
more.
you're
I
in the
hope.
giving
Tell me if
mood? While
I'm.
you're in the giving mood?
Yeah, tell me if I start running the clock or anything. But I also wanted to know. So a lot of our YouTube videos that get the most views are about product recommendations because
Yeah,
so much of dropshipping starts with choosing the right products, right?
yeah.
Or choosing the right niche, even. And so we took a look at our gross merchant value. So this is the dollar figure that merchants using Oberlo make, and we were looking at the GMV for different niches, and we wanted to find out what are the top three niches by GMV generated for Oberlo merchants. And here they are in order.
Wow.
Number one is home and garden niche. So these are broad niches. Like I'm not going to say like number one is specifically, I don't know, dog accessories, but
Uh-huh.
I couldn't claw that much data out of the team. But home and garden is a big one. Number two is women's clothing and accessories, and number three is beauty and health.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and if I can I editorialize on this for a
Yeah.
minute? This is just my interpretation of this. It's not like this isn't exactly from the data, but when we're talking about products to sell, there's kind of two interesting factors at play here that I think explains this data point. The first is we talk about products that solve a problem and that are hard to find in a store. Actually, like I know a lot of dropshippers have mentioned this. I'm definitely not the first one to say it, but home and garden is such a perfect niche for that, because home and garden people are looking for things to make their lives easier as they're
Uh-huh.
cleaning their house, as they're cooking, as they're decorating, whatever, as they're gardening. And once you find that tool that can really help you, you don't want to go to Walmart and try to like dig through the stuff. Like, you can go to Walmart and find a ladle, or you can find, I don't know, a vacuum cleaner.
Hmm.
But say you see like a little tool that helps you like cut the stems off of herbs, where are you going to look for that in Walmart? What are the chances of finding it?
Yeah.
It's much easier if you want it to just buy it online from the dropshipper. So that, I think, goes some way to explaining home and
Yeah,
garden.
yeah, totally. And those type
When
those
it
type
comes,
of like as seen on TV type of like products that give those big value and you can't typically find it in on the shelves of stores, great opportunities there. And then yeah, for the categories you mentioned, yeah, I mean I could tell from the stuff that I've been selling that yeah, those categories fit perfectly, like totally makes sense.
that's a great analogy to the as seen on TV reference, because I think so many of those late night infomercials that I remember were related to like cleaning products
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. So exactly, it's hitting on the exact same problem solving demand.
Yeah.
And then the other thing worth noting with women's clothing and accessories and beauty and health being up
Hmm.
there is that women tend to, like, if you look at e-commerce shopping statistics in general, women are generally shopping online a little bit more than men. Now, they're not necessarily spending the same amount of money as men. Like, there's a lot of other stats to give that
Uh-huh.
nuance, but I think that that does come to bear when you look at this data from Oberlo about women's clothing and accessories and beauty and health being the other top grossing product categories.
Wow, wow. Yeah, good point for sure. Yeah, and that's surprising. I mean, stuff and that's the other thing too, which I think is even a good tip for drop shippers, especially if you're getting into it, is kind of like, let the trends and let the data lead you. So doing your own product research is one thing and the categories that you listed definitely very hot and like but some of the things like I wouldn't have chosen some products within there on my own if I didn't do any product research, which is a
Mhm.
thing. And so, like, I mean, I think I can even drop one like related to beauty and health. One product that's selling really hot right now, something related to like eyebrows. There's something I forgot what it's called. It was like a pen that's meant to replace microblading eyebrows or something and
Mm,
something that I know
yeah.
nothing about and I had to ask my wife about it and like hey this is doing the product research just seems to be really hot and then sure enough yeah I mean that was just like one particular product that just seems to do but doing the research sort of helps lead into that so like health and beauty and stuff like that pretty cool stuff yeah this is awesome
Yeah, and also I think that's a great anecdote, because we talk a lot about whether you should be selling a product based on your personal interest or
yeah
selling a product that you have a little bit more distance to. And I don't think there's a right answer, but I do think if you choose a product that you're passionate about, you have to be careful to not confuse your own interest in a product for universal appeal,
yeah
right? Like, doing that research is still so important.
yeah totally man great stuff for sure
But I have one more if
hey
your
yeah
listeners are willing.
hey this is awesome yeah while you're in the giving
Okay,
mood
this is the last thing I could claw out of Thomas, but this surprised me. I asked Thomas this. I said, like, a lot of our merchants wonder how many products they should add to their store. Like, on one hand, you hear all about the one product store because it's such a clear cut funnel. On the other hand, we just interviewed a drop shipper. This video is going to come out in a couple weeks, but we just interviewed him and we asked him, and he's running a general store with like tons of product, which is the opposite of the advice we usually give, right? To like choose a
uh-huh
niche. And yet he's making like six figures. So I wanted to know, like, okay, well then on average, how many products do merchants have added to their stores? I'm gonna have you guess. What do you think is this number?
I want to say like between 15 and 20.
Yeah, that's, I think, what I would have guessed too. Maybe I would have even gone a little lower, like maybe between 10 and
Yeah.
15. But the average number of products merchants add to their store with Oberlo is 50 products, 50.
Wow.
That's a ton of
Yeah.
work. That's a ton of work. But it does allow merchants to test over and over and over and over
Yeah.
and over.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yeah. So I,
one of the great things that Oberlo has is like given that Chrome extension plugin, and I
mm,
don't know offhand if that is created by you guys, right? Part of
Yeah,
the
but that just yeah, it is, but when you are in AliExpress and you use the Chrome
uh-huh.
extension to just quickly like drag something into what it does is it drags the product into Oberlo, and then on Oberlo you have kind of like a waiting list, and from there you can decide to drag it into your store or not.
Yeah.
So these people made two decisions. They were like, yes, add it to my Oberlo list, and yes, add it to my
Yeah.
store. Um,
Yeah, and that
that's a
yeah, and that's a
lot.
lot. Yeah, 50 is a lot. And yeah, you're right. I mean, talking with, some of the professional dropshippers, there's two ends of the spectrum there. I think both are valid, and then it's pretty much, based on, what their goals are. So probably the single product store owner is looking for more, longevity and having a more evergreen type business, where the maybe the general store owner is looking to find the current trends and kind of ride the waves of what products are standing out. But I think the cool thing is, like, the general store owner, hopefully they take that next step where they identify one of the products that's really hot. So if it's 1 out of 50 or whatever the ratio is, they take that and then grow that into, either a niche or a single product store, because it's worth doing so, because it's producing revenue and things like that.
Yeah, it's funny because we see it happen both ways. Like
Really?
that happens, and then also some of the single product store owners, then they have such a massive like their pixel season, they have this big email list of
Ooh,
customers, so they
good point.
figure,
Yeah.
hey, well, why not add five more
Related products.
products?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So there's no wrong way to start drop shipping. There are some ways that are easier than others if you're totally new, but I think it just goes to show like it's still very much a build your own adventure world out there when it comes to drop
Yeah,
shipping.
yeah. Thanks for bringing that up too, because I mean, I think that's one of the kind of the hidden secrets that people don't catch, which is pretty much like profits on the back end. Because once you have a customer, once you have them added to your list, you now don't have to pay for, advertising to offer them the product in a different color, or offer them a supporting product or something that's related. Those type of conversions, all of a sudden, now you didn't have to pay for, advertising or other expenses to reach, cold customers. Now you have warm customers that you're able to
Mhm.
serve, and hopefully it helps build up your brand for your store and things like that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That was a really good point. With that, one, thank you so much for sharing those tips. I think the audience is going to benefit greatly from that. So that was awesome. Thank you so much. And say thank you to Thomas as well.
I will.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that. The other thing is, I noticed, like, the other parts, not just YouTube, but the email marketing and the blog and the things like that. You guys have been producing a lot of great content. Do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, I would just say if you have questions about dropshipping, um, search the Oberlo blog. We've been publishing articles on dropshipping for years now, and we're trying to be as comprehensive as possible. There's lots of free ebooks we have in case you want like to really dive into a topic like Facebook
Yeah.
ads. And the best way to keep up with the new content is of course to add your name to the email list. It feels a little silly, I have to admit, because it feels a little silly pitching adding people to the email list when I'm talking to pros who do this all the time to their own audiences. But I'll just say that one of the important reasons too to get on the email list, there's going to be a lot of big product announcements later this summer and later this year. And the first people to hear about it are going to be those on our email list. So just
Awesome.
so you don't miss anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's crucial. And I'd say, and that's been the really great thing. I think you guys are, you know, the closest to the grindstone, with the data, and you guys have been doing a great job, sharing it with the community to be supportive there. So I'd say for the listeners, it's really important. It's not like, subscribing to somebody else's random list. I mean, this is Oberlo, and you guys have been curating this information, and like you said, a team of people putting it together, and you guys have, you're thinking it through. How can it help your customers and the audience? And it's been really great. So I mean, I'm appreciative, and I know, I understand what you guys are doing, and the value you guys are delivering is huge. So I'd say for any of the listeners listening, and especially if you're just getting into drop shipping, that this is definitely a list, worth being on for sure. And to hear that
Yeah.
you're, that you're planning out, announcement for the subscribers. That's huge. So yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
mentioning that.
of course.
Awesome. Well, as a company, like I said, you've been very supportive of the dropshipping community. Is there anything in the roadmap for Oberlo? Like, is there anything coming out down the road that we should keep a lookout for?
Yes, actually, it's really interesting that we're talking right now because we've got some stuff coming up just next week. Well, next
Wow.
week for us. By the time this podcast is out, it'll still be a pretty new feature. But before I say that, I just want to mention one thing. You had mentioned, having our ear to the ground and listening. We got a lot of feedback about the price of our plans because it used to be that if you got over 50 orders per month, then you shifted to Oberlo's basic plan, which was $29.90 US dollars per
Hmm.
month. And a lot of dropshippers were like, hey, doesn't this kind of penalize success? Because, just as we start ramping up orders, now we have to start paying. I want to thank anyone who dropped that comment because it was totally fair and totally valuable
Hmm.
for us to hear that from people using the platform. And so we just recently got rid of that. So now Oberlo is free for all dropshippers
Awesome.
who carry less than 500 products in their store, which given our 50 product average range that we just talked about, is basically a ton of the dropshippers, except for really, 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 really one of a kind dropshippers on Oberlo. And you can make as many sales as you'd like. And as long as you have less than 500 products in your store from Oberlo, you are totally fine to use Oberlo for free for as long as you'd like. So that's a big saver for a lot of our successful
That's
dropshippers.
huge. Yeah, really huge.
Uh,
And especially, and you can see even for the ratio, right? So I mean, that's 10 times over the average that you mentioned earlier too. Uh,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So I don't think there's a whole lot of drop shippers with 500 products who are like, man, but I still feel gypped. If you're carrying 500 products, you can definitely cover the $29.90 per month fee. I'm pretty sure you're doing well enough to
Or
take
they
that
should
on.
be.
So I think it's, yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I don't know if you're just adding products for the hell of it
Yeah.
or what. But yeah, but that's a great. That's something we were
Yeah.
really happy to
Yeah.
announce. And then the other announcement, this is really cool. So the dropshipping community is, like you said, it's global, and we really want to make sure that Oberlo is just as global and international as the community we serve. I especially want to call out France and Brazil.
Mm.
If you're an English speaking dropshipper, I know you can't understand their YouTube videos, but these guys out of France and Brazil are doing some crazy stuff. So there's just maybe collaboration ideas. I don't know. But coming back to my
Hmm.
point, by the time this podcast drops, Oberlo will be freshly available in 5 different languages.
Wow.
So Italian, Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and German, and of course, still English. And so we hope that makes it easier for people who maybe English isn't their native tongue, easier for them to use and start finding success on the platform without having to translate everything as they go along.
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. Yeah. I mean, amazing to think how, operating at a global level and having things right at your fingertips. And you guys as an organization has been making the strides for sure. Yeah, that's huge. Awesome stuff. I really appreciate your time, Jessica. I mean, you dropped a lot of great tips and insider tech money talk exclusives, which is really exciting to even say
Yeah.
those words. That's really cool. Oh, I wanted to say, is it okay to follow up with you again? Because I think this has been really great stuff. Is it okay to bring you back on the show?
Oh, for sure. I would, and I'll definitely try to claw more data out of the team. I've got a lot of bribes up my sleeve for. I'm a good baker, so I bring some cookies into the office and people start
Yeah.
talking. It's my tactic.
That would be so awesome. Yeah, I think the audience would love that for sure. That'll be great. So, I want to give you a chance to leave any closing remarks.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of the merchants out there who are using Oberlo. You guys are the reason that we come to work every day and try to make drop shipping better. And if you have any feedback at all, like I said, we are on our social media channels like hawks. So Instagram, YouTube, drop comments. Let us know what you think of the platform. Let us know what you think of the comment. And of course, the biggest thing is subscribe to our email list because I
Totally.
couldn't get permission to tell you what's happening later in the year, but that's definitely something that you're going to want to know about as soon as it comes out.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, this is great, Jessica. I really appreciate your time. And hey, please give a personal thank you to Thomas for connecting us and allowing to put this together. It's really great stuff, and I really appreciate it. I hope we have a good ongoing relationship here. Yeah, and I'd love to have you back on the show.
I've had a blast, Brian. Thanks so much for having me on here.
So I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Tech Money Talks. I hope everything was helpful and thought-provoking and somewhat entertaining. If you want to learn more about this topic, please let me know so I know what to focus on in future episodes. My goal is to teach people how to make money with the opportunities that technology can bring. And if you like this episode, please show your support by subscribing, leaving an awesome review. And in the meantime, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My tag name is Tech Money Talks. Thanks again. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Peace.